Going by the rising cost of diesel amid the volatile operating environment, bakers under the aegis of Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, that's PBAN, have decided to down their tools and embark on a 4-day warning strike from today. The association, in a statement made available to TVC News, disclosed that the decision is in protest against the increase in prices of baking materials in the country, which has become impossible to operate bakeries in the country. It will interest you to know that the Association of Master Bakers and Caterers of Nigeria on the 19th this month also withdrew their services following myriads of challenges confronting the bakery and catering industry in Nigeria. Let's discuss this further, issues facing Nigeria's bakery industry, and I'm being joined live in the studio by the General Secretary of Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Emmanuel Onyo. Thank you so much for your time. It's good to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, you guys are not threatening a strike anymore. You are actually starting your strike today. What is responsible for this? Let's highlight them before we now pick them one after the other and try to address some of those issues.
Thank you very much, Tolu. It's not actually a strike. It's actually a withdrawal of services. We are not a labor union. We are a trade union. We are manufacturers. What we have seen over the time, it's been very difficult running our business. Materials has been a very, very major challenge to us. Energy has been a very major challenge to us. Forex has been a very major challenge to us. All these put together has actually made the bread industry almost becoming unprofitable over the time. And we have, time in, time out, tried to get across to our various stakeholders, government, millers, so that we can have a roundtable discussion on ways to make things better. But over time, it has yielded no successful result. So what we have just done, or what we have just commenced, is withdraw the services of what we are doing so as to sensitize the general public, the government inclusive, the people in the entire nation. In addition, in collaboration with our sister association, the Master Bakers, also with our Distributors Association, we have a group of men and women who actually are carriers of our products. They help their middlemen, who helps us in ensuring that the bread gets to all.
That the distribution angle.
The distribution angle of it. So we are all together in this, trying to let everybody know that we are going through pains. You can't be manufacturing and you don't have anything at the bottom line to share. We are not a charitable organization. We don't get any subvention from anywhere. And so what's the essence for us? We are all professionals who have who have a lot of professional years of experience in different fields, engineering, banking, accounting, legal, that have come to retire into bread making as an industry. But what we have found is that on a weekly basis, prices of things are soaring. And when you try to get down to the reasons why these are happening, what you get is that Forex is an issue. We've tried to have several meetings with federal government through the Federal Ministry of Trade in Abuja. We've had no less than 3 meetings appealing to the federal government to do something on the issue of Forex. But nothing seems to be coming out from there. There is this 15% development levy that the federal government charges for wheat flour that is being passed on to the millers. Ordinarily, their taxation, duties and taxes, center around about 15%, plus another 15% that the government imposed on wheat. We have appealed and appealed and appealed to all that needs to hear that let this developmental fee or developmental levy that has been on since 2012. This is 2022, 10 years
10
down the
years.
line. Can anybody give us actual account of that, of that money that has been collected so far over this period and what has been used for? But, I mean, there is no answers coming from anywhere. And the money keeps going. The millers cannot do otherwise. If they charge them 30% tax and levies,
Yes.
they will pass it on to the consumers. They pass it on to those of us who buy the flowers from them. And we, in turn, is expected to do what?
On the customers and consumers.
Pass it also to the consumers. We try to absorb. For a while, we see monthly, weekly increase in cost of flour. Because if you look at, if we look at our costing template that we use in producing bread,
Yeah.
flour is the major input there. Flour contributes not less than 65 to 70% of the raw material inputs.
Yep.
So if the cost of your major input goes up on a periodic or on a regular basis, as with the level of frequency of a weekly, previously, I mean, there was a time between 2017, 2018, 2019, flour remained almost at a particular price over a long period. But since we came into COVID till now, it's been on a daily movement, on a weekly movement. And when you ask for all the questions, you get no answers.
It's sad that we are, because I always like to ask that question, that how well have you tried to resolve the contending issues before you go on this kind of warning strike? I agree with you that you're not a labor union, so
Yeah.
of course, withdrawal of services, yes, let me
Yes.
use your word,
Yes.
in withdrawing services, which of course, will have an effect on Nigerians.
Definitely.
We are the consumers.
Definitely.
Of course. So are you thinking along that line, and what impact do you think this will have on all of us that want to eat bread, staple food?
What are you thinking about us running our business without profit? We're equally Nigerians. We're employers of labor. We provide services. And at the end of the day, should we continue to carry out activities without a profit? The answer is no. We don't get subvention from anywhere.
So these issues of grants, loans, and all of that for small businesses, for all of that we hear is available with the central bank, Bank of Industry, and all of this. Businessmen like you or bread makers like you don't get to access all of this.
We can't, we've made efforts. A lot of our members have made efforts. But you see, those grants and loans that are supposed to be available are not just available to us. Reasons, I can't enumerate them here on the table. But, it is just because of the kind of environment we belong. We are small-scale business people trying to provide services, and these facilities are there. We make applications, collect the application form, submit them, and they are there forever. How many of our bread makers today have access to these loans and these grants? Close to nothing. When actually these things are, so we all go to commercial banks to seek for support. We want to inject some money into the business. You are looking for debt to borrow. Instead of you to go to Bank of Industry, where you can get interest rates at a very low value, you go to the commercial banks, or sometimes you go to the microfinance banks, where the interest rates are not so friendly. But because you have to move on, owner's equity, for how much of owner's equity can you put into your business? You have to put in some level of debt, but the debt has to be reasonable. Or else at the end of the day, you are just carrying out activities without profit. Who intends to carry out activities? Work is going on there. Look at the chunk of bread that they are turning. They are turning out.
Nothing to show for it.
You are seeing people going in and out. You see vehicles going in and out. You see crates going in and out. But the beauty of it all, by the time we put our P&L together, is something there at the bottom. for us to share. After you have given all that you had to give to energy, to labor, to raw materials, what is in it for me as an investor? As an investor, I need to survive too. I have a family. I need to keep my family. I need to keep my business. I need to reinject new blood into my business. No business wants to be stagnant. Neither is any business, that should be there, that wants to go down. Every business wants to see live activities going on, and you want to see on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, you want to see some level of improvement.
Yes, return on investment is very important.
Return on investment, but that's not the situation. So we keep subsidizing. When we subsidize to some level, for every like a 1,000 naira increase in flour, it's almost like a 10 naira increase in the cost of bread. But can you put that almost immediately on bread? The answer is no.
That's where my next question comes.
Yes, sir.
Many times, many will say hike in price of sugar, hike in price of wheat, hike in price of flour, hike in price of all of this. And bread makers still selling almost at the same price. And some will say, are you sure they're not compromised in some way? Are you sure they're not giving us bread that is below standards? Some of these breads, when you buy them these days, Nigerians will agree with me, they don't even weigh anything. And you just hold what you buy for maybe 100 naira, 150 naira. You see what it is now. You need to go for as much as 200 naira, 250 naira. Yeah. A friend sat beside me yesterday and actually had 2 loaves of bread. Normally, he would have done 1.
Yeah.
So are you sure, as even PBAN, you're looking at all of these and making sure that despite all of these challenges, standards have been maintained?
We do our utmost best as PBAN. I may not be able to speak for all bread makers.
Of course. True.
We do our utmost best because we are manufacturers of branded bread, NAFDAC certified. So there are our standards as much as possible. We try to maintain, but where price becomes out of hand, we don't call it price increase, we call it price adjustment. We try to adjust price. Because when we say we want to increase price, the populace may want to say, what has happened?
Yes.
A lot of people in the society pretend as if they don't belong to the same society that we belong.
We buy from the same markets. So, of course.
So, when you come to look at it, flour, sugar, butter, energy. The latest masquerade that is befalling us now is nylon. Nylon has become another major material that is actually doing what? Bringing down our margin. Bringing down our margin because they have to equally do what? Solely depend on import. Nylon was not anything anybody worries about before. That's the bread wrapper I'm talking about.
Yes.
Was not anything anybody worry about. But today, the bread wrapper is almost competing with other raw materials. The bread wrapper contributes not less than about 6 to 7% of your cost of production. Energy contributes about 8% of your cost of production. Sugar takes about 6 to 7% of your cost of production. When the big man there, which is flour, takes about 65 to 70% of your cost of production. Labor is still there. And there are taxes and duties that you have to pay to different regulatory organizations.
Some contradicting each other sometimes.
Contradicting a whole lot. Not sometimes, all the time. All the time. The reason is because ab initio, a bread organization or a bread bakery is supposed to be licensed by NAFDAC. For you to be branded and have a NAFDAC number, then it means NAFDAC has certified you. They've come to see your installation, your flow, and the way you carry out your activities. And they've given you a regulation, which is renewable every 2 years. Now, SON is equally there. They call themselves what? Regulators. We equally have different other agencies within Lagos State, for instance, and other states. who comes around from local government to the state government, regulating one thing or the other. And when they come, they want to look at cleanliness, they want to look at hygiene level, they want to look at several other things that even NAFDAC has already done what? Check. Ministry of Environment, Lagos State Safety Commission, and so on and so forth. So these are different levels. One of the multiplicity of problems that we see is these agencies that are coming and demanding, because no agency comes to your place without parting away with some form of levies that you need to pay. And you have to pay them. At the end of the day, you still file your annual returns to government. You still pay some taxes to government because you are an entity. So when Lagos State Safety Commission comes, Ministry of Environment comes, LOMA comes, you carry out this test for the workers, handlers test, and at the end of the day, your fire extinguishers are all expected to be up to spec, and so on and so forth. So these are different agencies talking inwards. What of outwards? You have the when you move your trucks out of your premises to service your customers, you have road safety, you have LASMA, you have vehicle inspection officers, VIOs, to contend with on the road. Demanding for one thing or they will always look for something. Documents are never 100% complete.
It's sad. Let's wrap up this discussion, because it's important that we let Nigerians understand what you're going through. We know the rising inflation and all of that is also falling on all of this. But what are the likely resolutions after the 4-day withdrawal of service? We still know that diesel is still selling at almost 800 naira a litre. PMS also is not even getting better. Only in Lagos, I think it's fair. In other states, we know what's been happening. So what's a likely resolution and what's likely to happen?
We sincerely want to use this to get government attention. We are crying to say, one, the developmental levy of 15% duty placed on wheat flour, can it be expunged? And let importation costs, taxes and duties paid by the millers be just 15% as against 30%, because this has a ripple effect on the cost of, the landing cost of the product. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So if that can be done, is there any way the millers also can get some form of soft landing in getting forex as against buying it at the
other market?
The other market. 600 and something naira to $1. Man, if I buy it at that value, I have to water it down, because they have huge investment, huge staff costs that they are carrying.
Yes.
So the essence of what we are doing in these 4 days is to say we are actually in pains. We are actually in pains. Government, come to bread. Is there anybody that exists that does not eat bread? From the least to the highest person, every one of us eat bread. Bread is a staple food. Between bread and rice, which would I say comes first? Bread is a staple food. Every one of us from child one. So even the older, there's wheat bread, there's the normal white bread, there's bread for everybody. So, and there are different weights, ranges, and sizes that you can play on.
Yeah.
Today now we can see bread moving from 100 naira to as much as 1,100, 1,200 for a loaf of bread. So we need the populace to understand that if they see increment in costs after this, it shouldn't be a surprise, because we've actually been absorbing, and we've cut all the fleshes away. Our bones are already out in the public.
Well, I know our regulators and all others are listening to us now. I must thank you so much. Interesting conversation, well articulated. Mr. Emmanuel Onyode. He is the Chief General Secretary of Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. That's PBAN. Been speaking around bread issues, price, production costs, and what it means for their business. Thank you so much, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
All right,
I appreciate
All
my
right,
presence.
then.